Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Mick from CameraBits, and welcome to a webinar demonstration of Photo Mechanic. This is also an open Q&A, so if you have any questions about anything I'm presenting or anything about Photo Mechanic, please put that in the chat window, and I'll monitor that and try to answer them as they come up. This is fairly informal. I'm just going to give a demonstration of Photo Mechanic and some of the basic functionalities and explain what Photo Mechanic is all about. Generally geared towards the beginner or new users to Photo Mechanic, but if you have used Photo Mechanic and have other questions, feel free to chime in. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming, and we'll get into it here. All right. So this is Photo Mechanic. This is the Photo Mechanic window. What is Photo Mechanic? Photo Mechanic is a photo viewer, a metadata engine, a workflow tool, many different descriptions because it does so many different things. Right now I'm looking at a folder of images on my computer. This is what we call the contact sheet area. That name just refers to a throwback of when photographers would create prints of all the negatives on there on one roll of film onto one print, so they could go through and make decisions. So this is that's where that name comes from. This is the contact sheet. This is the navigator over here. This shows the folder structure on my computer. One thing to note about when you're using Photo Mechanic like this is that these images are not brought into Photo Mechanic per se. I'm just looking at a folder. Photo Mechanic is used as a viewer. This is when you use Photo Mechanic to ingest files off a memory card, you're just copying them from your memory card to a regular folder on your computer. So I'm looking at my hard drive, the demo folder, and then this particular folder, the Charmy Pena images. Charmy's a friend of CameraBits, and she graciously allowed us to use some images for a demo. So this is what these are. These are the thumbnails of everything in that folder. I can come up here to the toolbar and change the size of the thumbnails if I need to get more or fewer on there to get a better look. This is the way they are sorted. It defaults to file name. I can also reverse that by checking this. And then I can choose to view selected, tagged, and untagged. And over here are the star rating widget and the color class widget, which we'll get into a little bit later. Down here, you'll see a little status area. If Photo Mechanic is working on certain tasks, it will show the status of that here. And up here is a favorites panel. If there's a folder that you need often, you can just click on here and drag it up into the favorites, and you can access it quickly that way. If you need to get rid of them, you can just remove like that. So as we work with these images, if I were to say select this and go into here and delete the photo or hit my delete key, I could, if I delete it from here, I would actually be deleting it from my hard drive. If this is on if it's on my main hard drive, it will go into the trash. But if it's on a removable drive, it will be permanently deleted. So keep that in mind. Now, looking at these images, to say I want to get a closer look, double click on one of them. It opens up in what we call the preview window. The preview window shows a larger view of the image here. You can resize this as you like. This is what we call the film strip, shows other images in the folder. Here's some information. This is some metadata associated with the photo. The defaults to showing like the model of the camera and some other information, EXIF data. And you can customize this window to show what information you particularly need. You can do soft cropping in Photo Mechanic. This is a good time to point out that Photo Mechanic is not a pixel editor. It's not generally used for making color corrections or compositing or anything else you would use, something like Photoshop or Lightroom or Capture One or Luminar. Photo Mechanic is used to work with files and metadata, and it's generally the first step in your workflow, generally, where people will use Photo Mechanic to copy images from a memory card to their hard drive, select their keepers and identify their rejects, add crucial metadata like keywords, copyright information, caption information, add that to the photos, and then from there, take those files, either deliver them to a client or an editor, or take them into a post-production or a pixel editing software like Photoshop or Lightroom. And then after you're done with that, you can then use Photo Mechanic again to upload images to an FTP site, to something like Flickr or PhotoShelter or SmugMug, or a client site. Make copies, add watermarks, all that sort of thing. So as I said, but one thing you can do in Photo Mechanic is do a soft crop. And with the crop tool, you can turn on this and create a soft crop. And what this means is it's a crop that's stored in the information, the metadata about the file. It doesn't actually change any of the pixels. And you can actually rotate this crop as well. And if you want to preview it, hit the P key. We'll show that, hit the P key again. That way it doesn't actually change the file, but if you, for example, just wanted to see how an image is going to look cropped, or if you are going to send these off to an FTP site, Photo Mechanic can then, when you export these, can actually apply that crop if you so choose. But that's just one of the tools in here. And then there's also the zoom. This is very important as well. Certainly, you're going to want to check for crucial critical focus. You do that. Generally, you press the Z key and it will zoom in, and then you can control the zoom amount here over with this slider, and then you can go in here. So if you're looking at this and want to zoom in here, and then you can just click and drag to look around in the image. And then there's a histogram tool here as well, just to help you make some evaluations of the shot, just to see how your highlights or your shadows are doing. You can even choose to warn if there are some blown highlights or lost shadow detail, blocked up the shadows, if you need that. These tools are just to help you make decisions on to whether this image is a keeper or a reject. Obviously, all of Charmy's images are keepers. Yeah, she's fantastic. Definitely recommended to check her out. So yes, and then there's tools up here. There's we can go into like a full view, which will get rid of all the other toolbars. You can change the position of the thumbnails to the other thumbnails to the side of the thing. You can do side-by-side comparisons. If you were now to go in here and you wanted to look at side-by-side, you could do that. And some other tools as well. There's a delete photo. There's a button to open the image in its your system's default editor, and things like that. But those are the. Oh, and you can also do some soft rotation. Again, this doesn't change the pixels itself. It just saves the rotation image in the metadata for the file. Photo Mechanic generally does not change any of the pixels in your image. It just it saves these things to metadata to generally an associated. If you're working with a raw file, it will save it to the associated XMP sidecar file. But as a basic rule, you don't really need to know too much about that. Or if you do, you can ask questions about that. I do have a question in the chat. I'm going to check right now. Tom says, after you make a catalog, the next time you want to add to that catalog with new photos, how do you do that? And how should you test to see if you got it right? Good question. Let's talk a little bit about this. So what I'm doing is, right now I'm looking at Photo Mechanic. I'm using Photo Mechanic Plus, and Photo Mechanic Plus is a version of Photo Mechanic that has all the functionality of Photo Mechanic, but also an associated catalog, which is an actual database of all your images. So as you'll see, as I'm looking through these images right here, you'll see a little green dot. This is something that you only see in Photo Mechanic Plus, and this means that these images are added to a catalog. So if I'm, in fact, I'm going to do in just a moment, I'm going to do a sample ingest, a copy off a memory card, and do some selections. But I'm going to open up the ingest screen just for a second, just to show you something. The Command G is the shortcut to use on Mac, Control G on Windows. And you'll see here, if I'm going to ingest this memory card, you can click this box to auto catalog. This means anything that you ingest out of the card will automatically be added to whichever catalogs you have selected in Photo Mechanic Plus. We'll cancel out of here. Also, if I'm looking at some files, if I have a folder that hasn't been added to catalog, or if I've done an ingest and I wanted to do some work on those images, you can select images, right click, and you can include those items in the catalog. That's what I was looking for. So if these are not in the catalog, you include the items in the catalog, and then when you see that they are included, that's when you will see this green dot. Yeah, that's so that's adding images to a catalog after you've created the catalog. Hopefully, that answers your question, Tom. All right, so yes, so Photo Mechanic can do all that. Now, let's talk a little bit about metadata. Metadata is the associated information that goes along with the file, things like when you took it, the camera settings, but also other things like keywords, your copyright or credit information, captions, information from clients, information about where the image was taken, information about the people in the photo or the locations in the photo. All sorts of things are information about the photo that can be useful for you or for clients or for editors or for other uses of the photograph. I'm going to show here, I'm going to click the I key, which will open up the metadata info panel for this image. And here's a view of all the different fields available. And these fields are customizable. There, as you can see, there are a vast number of fields here. You certainly don't need to use all of them. Some people use different fields and not. This can all be customized in PhotoMechanic as well to remove things that you don't use, to rearrange these fields to have the ones you use up to the top. In fact, this particular view I think is customized a little bit to keep my image content up here. The title object name is usually down further, but I like that up at top, so this has been customized for me. But you can customize this as however you would like. And just a real quick, I'll show you where you would do that. In preferences, which you get to by command comma or control comma, come under accessibility, and here you can customize the IPTC info or the IPTC metadata template. So that's where that is. In fact, while we're in preferences, I'd like to go over 3 settings that you'll want to use the first time, or as you get to doing the culling process in PhotoMechanic. There are 3 settings I want to point out. In this, first of all, just you'll notice the different sections of settings are all in this drop-down. But if you're looking at this on a PC, these will be tabs in this interface. The preferences will be different tabs. But either way, that's how you get to different sections of the preferences. So there are 3 main ways to rate or evaluate a photo in PhotoMechanic. Assigning a color class to that, assigning a star rating to it, or giving it a tag on or off. My primary system myself is to use star rating, so I have the single key shortcut set to rating. All this means is that when I'm looking at a photo in PhotoMechanic, if I just hit the number key 0 through 5, it will assign that star rating to that photo. If I were to set this to color class, the single key would actually set a color class. So 1 would be red, 2 would be yellow, 3 would be green, and so forth. So you can configure this however you would like it to. And it's important to note that even if, so I have this set 0 to 5 sets ratings, I can now still change a color class by using command in the number key. So this is currently blue, but if I did command 1, it will change the color class to red, as you can see here. And then if I hit 3, it will change the star rating to 3, and so on. And these things are also available within the preview window as well. You can set these. If I want to now set this, make this a 4-star image, it changed to 4, and then it moved to the next photo. And that's actually the next setting I wanted to talk to in preferences. Going back to preferences here, looking at the preferences for the preview window, there's a preference in here, automatically advance to next photo when any of these things are changed. I have these all checked. This is meant to speed up the culling process. This is why so many photographers love PhotoMechanic for culling, because we've done so many things to save steps in the culling process. The general reason for PhotoMechanic existing is to combine multiple steps into single steps. 2, 3, 4, or 5 different things that might take you different screens and other programs will be done in single steps in PhotoMechanic. That's one of the key time-saving steps and the reasons why folks use PhotoMechanic. And when I get into the cull in the demonstration, you'll see a little bit about how that can be faster or how that gets quick. Fun. So that was the, and then I also want to talk a little about the color classes. These are the color classes. These are the choices. Now you'll see these all say purple. The reason is have this set up to work alongside Lightroom. Lightroom only uses the 5 colors, the first 5 colors. So you'll see this lightning bolt icon here. This is like creating presets. So there are presets collected for this color class thing that have things Lightroom. So there's a default which has all these different colors. But since if I were to be using Lightroom, I come here and it will change the colors here. So that's why these all say purple. But this is what I really wanted to talk about is this preset or lightning snapshot key here. You'll see this key on many different settings screens or preferences screens in PhotoMechanic. And this is just a way to save those settings on that screen to presets. If you're working with different clients or have different tasks that you use in Photo Mechanic, it can be so helpful to save different sets of preferences or settings for different tasks. And we'll get into that as well as I do a sample ingest. All right, so as I said, we are going to do a sample ingest. I have a memory card from another friend of Camera Bits, Kim Smith Miller. She shot a wedding, and we are going to do a sample ingest. We're going to copy files off the card. We're going to view them quickly. They're raw files, but you'll see how quickly we go through there, and we're going to add some ratings and color classes to ones. And then I'll show you how I would take this into, for this example, I'm going to use Photoshop, and we'll talk about that. So let's do that. We'll pop in the memory card. I've got this. Here's the ingest screen, as I've said. A lot of different options on here. Here's the card we're going to use here. There's where are these images going to go. I've picked a destination in my demo folder. I could choose a secondary folder if I wanted to copy to 2 places at once. And then down here, I'm going to, within this folder, the demo folder, I'm going to say into a dated folder, then a folder with the name. In fact, let's go into just a folder with a name. It's going to create this folder. And down here, you'll see a preview of where these are actually going to go. So here's the complete folder path. If I said into a dated folder then with the name, you'll see that right here and have a date. And you have other options as well. You can do just a dated folder, but we have this here. We're also going to copy the locked and unlocked photos. Many cameras have the ability to lock a photo in camera, and photographers will use this if they know they have a high priority. They got a picture of a particular score in a sports game or the kiss at a wedding. If you want to get to that photo quickly, you could lock it in camera and then copy the locked photos only. That would be a fast way to get to that. We're also going to copy the RAW and the non-RAW photos. If you shoot RAW plus JPEG for some reason, but you know you're only going to work with the RAWs, you might select it to just copy the RAWs, or just the non-RAWs. It's up to you. And then apply the metadata template to the photos. We talked a little bit about metadata before this. But this is, you can apply metadata as these files are being copied from the memory card. And I'm going to open up this template. And so here we go. Here's the metadata template. This is the metadata that's going to be applied to these photos. And I can put things in here. Right now, you see I have my credit information, my copyright information, things like that, rights usage terms. But these are, like I said, these are from Kim Smith Miller. So look down here. We have this lightning bolt again. This is I've created presets. So I've created a preset for Kim's information, and we do that here. And here's all the metadata that she has filled out for these images. She has a caption here with her information, so has her URL there. It has some keywords about this particular wedding, some information about Kim, her copyright, her source, credit fields, and whatnot. Here's some image information about where the event was taken. This information will all be applied to the photos as they're copied over. So we'll close that. We select the card here. There's also this field I wanted to point out, Incremental Ingest. If you check this, it will only copy new photos, but you have to make sure to have it checked the first time if you copy photos. And the reason you would use this for is if you're shooting a sporting event and you're done with the first quarter and you ingest the files from the first quarter, pop the memory card back in the camera and shoot more images. The next time you come back on the second time, if you have Incremental Ingest checked, it will only copy the new photos. So that's what that's used for. And then I also wanted to point out, rename the ingested photos as. You can give them special file names if you don't like DSC123 or whatever your camera names them. In fact, we'll turn this on. We're going to have this set. We're going to rename the ingested photos. And what I'm using here is variables. Now, this is a huge topic in Photo Mechanic, a huge time-saving topic. And I'll just touch on it really quickly. In fact, I'll open this. If you click the Variables tab here, you'll see all this information. This is a way to a shorthand way to insert metadata from the EXIF data in the file into other fields in Photo Mechanic without having to look it up. So there's all these different variables in here from other fields. Here's the time, day of the week, whatever. There's a field for date sort right here. And so in the EXIF data for your fields, it's going to have a date, and the date sort has the year, the month, and the date, so we'll have that. And then we're going to throw in the original frame number as a way to separate that from the other images. So we're going to rename these. This is a great time saver as well. You can also put your initials or your name in here, anything you want to do. And then down here, there's erase the source disk after ingest. I would never recommend that myself, but if you need to do that, if you're really in a hurry and you're headed out and you want to erase the thing, but also unmounting the source disk. This is a very popular one. If you need to head out as soon as possible to shoot the next scene at your event or something, you can have that. So like I said, it's just a ways to combine steps into a single step here. But so now I'm going to start ingesting these. And here we go. As you see, here's the task, and now we've created a new contact sheet as these are being ingested. These are coming in. You see, this is the folder. Like this, these tabs are for different folders, so you can have different tabs open. So here's what we were looking for. Now it's opened this, a new tab here. And now we're going to start culling. We're going to go through these and take a look at them. These are very nice. There's the preview window. And how I cull now is I just keep my fingers on the number keys. I do have a number pad. My thumb is on the arrow keys. And I can start rating these. So this is maybe a little underexposed, but not too bad. I look at the histogram. It didn't get too blocked up. So that's probably, since these are raw, I'll be safe. So maybe I'll give this a 2. And I hit the 2 and it automatically advances to the next image. So as you can see, it's applied the 2-star and moved to the next one. So I can go through here. And when I call, I do my first call is very much snap judgments. So if I like an image, I might give it a 3. I might go down to, this is a 3, maybe this is 2. Oh, that's really nice, a 3, and so forth. I'll go through here, looking at these. That's good. Oh, I love that. This may be out of focus, maybe skip those. And as you can see, as I'm going through the images, because Photomechanic isn't a pixel editor, it doesn't have to render the raw file. So it's using the embedded JPEG preview that's written into the raw file, and therefore it's able to go through these very quickly. As you can see, I can go through here and hold down the arrow key and flip from raw file to raw file extremely quickly. This is, again, one of the main draws of using Photomechanic to cull is that you don't have to wait a couple seconds for each image to render. Obviously, if you're doing 1 second per image and you're working with 1,000 images, this is really going to add up. We hear from specifically wedding photographers say that Photomechanic gives them their weekends back. Culling that used to take 6 to 8 hours or maybe a whole working day can be done in less than an hour or some small time period like that. But we can go through and how you do these, start rating these. Oh, some little dancing things. Oh, I like that. Nice shoes. Oh, that's a good one. Maybe use that as a accent image for something. Go through here. Let's go back. And then I keep my thumb on the arrow key and I can come here and go, yes, this is all like this. This is maybe a 4-star. And we'll go through here. This is a 3. And you can go through these and you go through the cull. And then now you're back here. And here's where you'll use these widgets. Here's my star rating widget. So if I want to get rid of the images I haven't rated yet, turn off the 0-star. If I turn off my rejects, turn off the 1-star. Now I'm looking at just my 2 stars and aboves, and you can see these are my keepers. And I can come from here, and maybe I say, oh, maybe I want to tag on my accent images with a color class. Maybe I'll just give that a green, and this is another green. And maybe I say I want everyone with the bride, maybe give that a yellow. So we'll do that, give that one a yellow. Such like that. So you can, that's a sample cull. And then if I double click on one of these images, we can see, here it is, the information here. And you'll see the keywords that we put in the ingest, they're all here. The file name, as we can look down, this is, it's been given the date and the frame number. And if I open the metadata, here's the images, metadata for this image, here's all the stuff that I added on the ingest. And then if I wanted to now go and add specific keywords, I can do that. Add bride to that. And then if I wanted to go save and go to the next one, click that. Or obviously it's always faster to use, or almost always faster to use keyboard shortcuts. So if I did Command N and I'm adding these, and I might say, I don't know if this is cousin, but we'll just say cousin. And I do Command N and move to the next one. Maybe add dad and this one. And so you can add keywords going from image to image. You don't have to click out of the screen and go to the next one. You can just keep moving from image to image and add these keywords this way. Again, it's just a way to make things go faster. We'll click OK. And then say I now need to edit these images. I can, like I said, if I just hit the E key, it's going to, whatever my system has selected as the default editor for .NET files. It will open that. But I've also, in Photomechanic, in the preferences, I can specify a special editor. So, for example, if your computer always uses preview on a JPEG, but you always want to open JPEGs in Photoshop, you can go into preferences under launching and change that here. So it says default application to edit photos. Either let the Finder do it or assign a default application. I use Photoshop, as I said. So we'll have that here. So if I were to click E, it's going to try to open this in Photoshop, which I have open, but since it's a raw file, it opens up in Camera Raw, which I really like. I used to be a Lightroom person myself. Always use Lightroom, but I've really gotten in the hang of using Camera Raw. I really like it. So just yeah, I like Camera Raw because one of the issues with using Lightroom and Photomechanic is that once you import a photo into Lightroom, and then it's difficult to go back and find it in Photomechanic. And then if you want to edit it, you can't re-import it into Lightroom to do pixel editing. So that's one reason why I prefer Camera Raw. But that's just me. So we'll close this. I'm not going to actually make any changes. Back to Photomechanic Plus, and here we go. So yeah, that's it. That's a basic ingest and cull and sort in Photomechanic, and then we showed how to drag them. Oh, I was going to say I use the E key. If you select multiple images in here, you would hold down Control or Command E on a Mac. Or Command E will do the same thing. It's also a lot of folks find it easier to just click and drag. I can drag these all over to Photoshop over here. Then it opens up and you'll see all the images came in here into Camera Raw. So that's a drag and drop is also a great way to get images into your other editors if you like. That's the basics of Photomechanic. There's a lot of other things it can do in terms of uploading. As I said, if you wanted to now get these into a client gallery, I can now open up the uploader screen here, and I personally use Flickr a lot for my things, but a lot of people, you have all these different built-in templates here for different things. I have a Photo Shelter site, so if I wanted to get these up to Photo Shelter or SmugMug to share with a client, I can go straight from Photomechanic into this uploader. Now these are all raw files, but Photomechanic can create JPEGs from them. That way you don't have to bother with a separate step for creating JPEGs. You can resize them. So say a client says, I want 800 pixel wide JPEGs. I can do that. Resizes on the fly, creates the JPEGs, sends them to the uploader, and then doesn't save them. So you don't have to worry about keeping track of different versions of your files. Unless you wanted to, you could save a copy if you particularly wanted to. This is one thing that used to get me a lot. I used to have to, I worked for magazines shooting concerts, and every outlet would have different things about, the format they wanted or the file name. And what I could do this was before I discovered Photomechanic, and this I could see, as you see down here, we have the lightning bolt, and I can create different templates for different outlets. So if I had one outlet that wanted 800 pixel JPEGs, I could do that. I can also, or for example, let's say if I was using an FTP site, same thing here, save as JPEG, but then I could rename the photo. So I can say, oh, if I'm I shot for LA Weekly, and LA Weekly wanted my name and then the file thing, I could have that so that it would rename the files as I'm sending them. I don't have to create my own separate copies. I would save different copies for different outlets, and then when I would come back and have to look for an image, I'd find different copies, and I might find the ones I had saved for one magazine in someplace, and it's just a lot of different folders, and really, I would pull my hair out back when I had hair. And but this Photomechanic allows you to kind of create those copies on the fly, then you don't have to save them. Just such a time saver. Oh, some more questions. Tom again asks, I will try Ingest today. I have been a little afraid. Oh, don't be afraid. One of the great things about Ingest, in fact, this is a good thing to bring up. So when you copy these things, when you copy files from your card, we always recommend that you ingest from a memory card first of all, because these files as they exist on the card are your only copies. And some people are very tempted to start adding color classes, ratings, start making their selects on their card, add tags or whatever. And this is possible in Photomechanic, but just keep in mind that memory cards, the way they're organized and the way they're structured, They're different from a hard drive. They have a file access table. And anytime you make changes to the size of a file or write things to the card, or if your card was almost full and you start adding ratings in Photo Mechanic, it will add a little sidecar file to the raw files. If you fill up that card, there's a chance of corrupting the card. This is anything you do on a memory card after you shot it. There is always a little tiny bit of a risk involved, so we always suggest that you ingest off the card first to your hard drive and then start doing all your selections. That way, if anything goes wrong, you accidentally delete things or something, you can always go back to the card and you have those as a backup. Just a word to the wise. Okay, Tom says, under catalog, what is scan to catalog for? Great question, as I said. In fact, let's talk a little bit about Photo Mechanic Plus in the catalog. So these are all the tools about Photo Mechanic. As I've said, Photo Mechanic doesn't sort of bring these into Photo Mechanic. I'm just looking at a folder. But Photo Mechanic Plus also has a catalog, which creates a database of all your images. And this is an example of where these files are brought into a database. And this is used for searching past images. Now, under catalog, if I this is the first time I get to catalog and I have a whole hard drive of images, under scan to catalog is generally the first step you would do if you have an entire drive that you want to create a catalog from. Now I have a external drive here, and I come in here and I add a folder to scan, and I see down here I have these different things. I have a whole hard drive here, or external SSD, and I do that. I open that. And this will scan this entire drive and then add any images on this drive into a catalog. In fact, I would pick which one I would want here, and I would say which catalog I want to send that to. I believe Photo Mechanic, when you launch Photo Mechanic Plus, it only has the default catalog, so you would have this to add, and it would add anything in these folders to that catalog. If I wanted to exclude some folders or exclude some file types, I can do that, or include only these extensions. If I only wanted to do the JPEGs or only the RAWs, I could do that. And then scan to catalog would scan all these folders and add those images to a catalog. That's what scan to catalog is for. It's generally the first time you create a catalog, you'll use scan to catalog, and then adding things to that subsequently as you go along. You can either do it, as I said, in the ingest screen, will auto add those to the catalog, or if you're looking at these are, as you can see, these have not been added to the catalog, but I can select these, include items in the catalog, and now we go, there's the green dot. These have been added to the catalog. For example, let's use this file name, and we'll go into the catalog here, and we'll search just for that file name. And it may have taken a little while but that's how you would then add those things as well. All right. Hopefully that answered your question, Tom. Catalog is kind of a different beast. That's why we call it Photo Mechanic Plus. Photo Mechanic historically has been used to. Oh, in fact, as you can see here, I didn't have search checked for the default. So let's turn these off. Search now. Let's search that. There we go. Search for that particular date, and there's the 3 that I just added. That's why that didn't come up before. And that's a good point to point out that you can switch between different catalogs very quickly. Now, I used to use Lightroom catalogs, and I love Lightroom to death. It's a great pixel editor and a decent organizer. But I would have different catalogs for different things. And if I wanted to switch from, say, my live music catalog to a different event catalog, I would have closed down Lightroom, reopen it with a new catalog. It took a long time. It took a lot of time. With Photo Mechanic, you can, to switch between my default catalog or my main catalog, I can just turn off this. So if I want to search my main catalog for things with music, I can do that. And there's everything on that catalog. If I want to search just my default catalog, uncheck that, do the same search. These are different. So these are all the images in the default, and I can have them both. I can now put them both on, do a search, and I'll get results from both those catalogs. So switching between catalogs in Photo Mechanic Plus, extremely fast, as you can see. Now you'll see these are yellow dots. This just means that drive is not connected to my computer. So I've scanned them. I plug the drive in, I scan them, then I unplug the drive, and I can still search for them. I can come down here, and I can see here's like where this folder actually is. It's on the Mixan drive. So if I need to find that image, I can go back and find it there. And you can also see down here, down here, you'll see this image, this information right here in the bottom bar. Hopefully it's picking up on the stream, but it also shows the path, so I can tell what drive that is. So if I need to actually get to this image, I would go to find my Mixon drive and plug it in, and then I'd be able to find it that way. That's a real basic run through of PhotoMechanic Plus as well, so you got that. Yeah, so that's it. That's PhotoMechanic and a little bit of PhotoMechanic Plus. I hope that was helpful for you all. If you have any other questions, you can either ask them now, but we're wrapping up here. Don't ever hesitate to contact us. PhotoMechanic support are real people. If you give us a call at our phone number on our contact page, we don't have a long phone tree. You might have to press 2 to get to technical support, but you'll get a real person during our business hours, which is usually 9 to 5 on the west coast of the United States. Or you can send us an email on the contact page. In fact, yeah, we do our best to get back to you within 24 hours. So our customer support, we're a relatively small company, but we put a lot of focus into it. We realize that it's very important for users to have questions answered in a timely manner. If you do give us a call, we're also happy to give you some advice as well. It's not just fixing problems, but if you have a question about like how you want to organize your photos or things like that, we're certainly welcome to give you advice about your workflow. If you say, look, I'm doing FTPing, I've been naming my files like this and doing this, is there a better way to do it? We're happy to do that. We give that advice out to both people who have purchased a license and trial users. If you're trying PhotoMechanic on the free trial, still give us a call. We give free technical support to all of our users, even trial users. So take advantage of that. It's really a big priority for CameraBits, so I wanted to give a shout out to them. And they're some of the coolest people I know as well. So give them a call. Yeah, we also have a website, DOCS. That's docs, docs.camerabits.com. Has help articles if you're more into reading about things. There's also links to videos, video tutorials, and getting started things. We have those are on there as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to get help with PhotoMechanic. Oh, and also I wanted to point out, if you're watching this video, after we close this video, you still can use the same URL that you got to this video, and after we're done, this whole video will be available for you to review. So if you missed something, if you came in late and wanted to see the whole demo, just come back and you can see the whole thing. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming. I hope you've had a good Thursday. We've done a demo of PhotoMechanic here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Thank you, Tom, for asking questions. This was I hope it was helpful. I hope you can, if you have, like I said, if you have any more questions, obviously don't hesitate to contact us. Normally we do these webinars every 2 weeks. I'm going to be out of the office 2 weeks from now, so there will not be a webinar, but there will be one 2 weeks after that, and you can check the calendar on our website at camerabits.com/webinar. That's it for me. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a productive increase to your workflow, and happy photographing. Thank you very much. Cheers.